everybody, and welcome to Carving Up Live right here on YouTube, as well as on X, on Twitch, on Facebook, and on IG. I am Bryson Carver. Appreciate everybody stopping by on a Monday. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Those have been plaguing us as of late, but it looks like we are ready to go. So I see my monitor up here. I see my X is working. The Twitch is working. Everything is working. So, again, some technical difficulties. We apologize for that. We've got still a loaded show on tap for you guys tonight. Going to talk about the Chiefs. Why I think, I'm not going to lie, folks, for the moment, the aura might be gone. Discuss that. Also talk about Josh Allen. I think he is one of the 5 greatest quarterback talents in the history of the game. Discuss that. Philadelphia's going to figure it out offensively. I really think they are. I think they are. Again, that's as far as I can go. Talk about that. Spitgate 2.0. Oh, man, listen. There might be saliva coming out of my mouth for as loud as I'm going to be yelling during that segment. We'll talk about that. Talk about what else? Bears beating the Minnesota Vikings yesterday in a thriller. You got Shedeur Sanders making his debut yesterday, kind of my takeaways from that and what I need to see from him moving forward. Tons to get into around the National Football League and what was just a wild Week 11 in the NFL yesterday. But let's get started with the Kansas City Chiefs. But first, this is the first time I'm going to say this on Carving It Up Live. I think the Kansas City Chiefs aura is gone. Now, that doesn't mean it can't return. Doesn't mean it's never to be seen again. It's like when you, God forbid, lose your dog or your cat, like, and you're like looking for him, and eventually you find him. It's like, oh, all's right with the world again. But you lost him. You had to come back, you had to find a way to get it back. I say this because Kansas City loses yesterday. They're dropped to 5-5. So their chances to win the division, they lost to the Broncos, 22-19. Their chance to win the division, gone, dead. That's out for the season. Right, the 9-year winning streak of the Chiefs winning the AFC West, that's over. It's going to be Denver's division. I don't think Denver's going to get the 1 seed. That feels like New England's to lose, given where the Patriots' schedule is at this particular moment in time. But the thing with Kansas City that has always made them great, the thing that I was blue in the face defending them on last year. Oh, they're lucky. Oh, they get their calls to go their way. Oh, there's just all these excuses, and it's like, yeah, that's cute. They're also 15-2, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions back-to-back. I think I'm going to roll with Kansas City. The thing that this team cannot do this season, slam the door on W's. Or at least give themselves a shot. Put the ball back in Mahomes' hands with a shot at W. Think about the Chargers game. 3rd down and long. Chris Jones misses assignment. Herbert gallops for a 1st down. Think about the Jacksonville game. Kansas City takes the lead. Here we go. Trevor Lawrence, best moment Trevor's had all year. Boom, boom, boom. Stumbles, runs in for a touchdown. You're like, what the heck just happened? And then yesterday, kind of the fork in the road moment for you watching yesterday, because I picked the Chiefs to win and cover. Mahomes hits Kelsey in the touchdown. Kelsey breaks the Chiefs' all-time record for receiving touchdowns, so congrats to him. They go up 19-60. I'm like, okay, here we go. They're going to get a stop, which they did. And Mahomes going to get the ball, move all the way down the field, long drive, and worst case scenario, Butker hits a field goal, and Denver's not going to go down and score. Denver's offense, both offenses were anemic. Some of that's a credit to 2 great defenses and 2 great defensive coordinators, Vance Joseph and Spags. But when Kansas City went 3 and out with the chance to bleed the clock, I'm like, oh, that's un-Chiefs-like. Denver gets it back, tie the game with the field goal. All right, Chiefs get the ball back. Okay, here we go. 4 minutes to go. Mahomes going to drive him down. Can Butker, who missed an extra point yesterday and who's been really off this season, can he hit a walk-off field goal for the win? And they go 3 and out again. It's like, whoa, that's not the Kansas City Chiefs I've grown to know and cover over the years. And the biggest indicator, because folks last year, and I get to run a little bit of a victory lap on my defense of last year's Chiefs, right? Is that last year, they win the close games. They're just barely surviving. And they're not that good. We would buy the Chiefs more if they put up more points, if they were more explosive, and if they lost a few of these games here or there. That's funny. Let's go and show this graphic, because winning games, as I said, all of last year is an art. There is a way to go about winning football games. You're seeing it this year. Chiefs can't close this year. They averaged more points this year than they did last year. They give up less points this year than they did a year ago. The point differential is stark. Last year through 10 games, plus 49. This year, plus 73. What's the difference? 7-0 in 1-score games a year ago. Through the first 10, 0-5 this year. Through the first 10 games of 2025. And of course, 9-1 record versus a 5-5 record. So that's the difference. They can't close. Okay, Kelsey was old last year. Chris Jones was in a contract dispute, recently. I think that was that 2 years ago? No, that was last year. Chris Jones came back late. Patrick Mahomes statistics this year better than they were a year ago. Can't close this season. And what I think is, because I'm not going to go out here and say, oh, the Chiefs are not going to make the playoffs. They're dead. Not going to do that. I said on the show when they beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl, when they shocked the whole NFL, they go in the playoffs 11-6. Receivers can't catch a cold. It doesn't look so good. And they go into the postseason, beat Miami, upset Buffalo, upset Baltimore, upset San Francisco. I came out on the show the very next day and said, I'll never bet against Mahomes again. Not until he gives me a reason to. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, yeah, I think the Chargers with their anemic offensive line or the Jaguars and I love Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I believe in Trevor Lawrence. But the way that he's been struggling, the way the Jags, and now they dominated the Chargers yesterday, but do we think Jacksonville's going to get over in Kansas City? Don't know if I trust that. So I do think Kansas City's going to make the playoffs. And I do think if you're one of the top seeds, if you're a Denver, an Indianapolis, a New England Patriots, you'd prefer not to play them your first playoff game. You'd rather get a Jacksonville, a Chargers, maybe a Houston creeps in there. Heck, you'd rather have Baltimore with as inconsistent as they are offensively. And with Lamar Jackson's playoff struggles. You don't want to face Kansas City in the first round. Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey, never not been to an AFC Championship game since Mahomes became the starter. Well, this year, if they get in the postseason at all, they're going to have to go through the wild card round. And, if starting on the road, on from there to win a Super Bowl, if they're, if that's still within their grasp. But just watching yesterday, and listen, not to take any credit at all away from the Denver Broncos. That is, without question, the best pass rush in the league. They're probably going to break the single-season record set by the Bears in the mid-'80s. I think it was 1984 in single-season sacks. That's very much on the board for this team. Doing so without Pat Surtain. Now, I will say, Riley Moss got cooked yesterday, committed a lot of bad penalties, so they're going to need Surtain back at some point. But what I've said about this Chiefs team, again, over the years, ability to close games, ability to make that play at that moment to get yourself over the top. It was Mahomes with the big scramble. It was Chris Jones making a play, strip sack. It was blocking a field goal. It was Travis Kelce making a big catch on third down. It was something, a great call by Andy Reid. It was something. And they're not doing that this year. When they need the defense to get a stop against the Chargers, against Jacksonville, they can't get a stop. When they need Mahomes to make a play against Denver, he can't make a play against Denver. Back-to-back drives. First drive up 3 can kill some clock. Second drive, tie game, can go down and win it. 3 and out. So what's wrong with the Chiefs is that they're not playing like the Chiefs, which is winning the close games. And I'm going to talk about this with Philadelphia later. That's what I said all of last year with Kansas City. People whining and groaning and moaning. Yeah, it's okay. They're 15-2, 1 seed, defending Super Bowl champions, road to the Super Bowl 59, and the AFC goes through Arrowhead. Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with them. Guess what? They got to the Super Bowl. Is that there's an art to winning close games. Kansas City has mastered it over the years. This year, again, 0-5. And by the way, with the loss by Detroit last night, and Baltimore, thanks to Pittsburgh's win yesterday, love that, Kansas City has not beaten a team this year that is currently in the playoff picture. Now, again, we think Detroit's good. Baltimore's on a roll. But they lost to the Chargers. They lost to Jags, lost to Philadelphia. Lost last night, obviously, to the Broncos, lost to the Bills. All playoff teams we sit here today. All because they couldn't make that one more play to give themselves a shot to win at the end. Chris Jones, week 1. The entire defense in week 5. Mahomes missing some deep balls at times against Philadelphia back in week 2, obviously. Mahomes and the Chiefs not coming up when they had to come up. The moment that was most shocking for me, and I'll talk about this with Bo Nix in just a second, is that third down and 15, just past your own 20-yard line. It's like, okay, Casey's going to get a stop. Denver's going to punt it away. Then Kansas City's going to go down and get a touchdown. Bo Nix hitting Courtland Sutton for the first down, and then hitting Courtland Sutton again, who got the first down by the nose of the football on 3rd and 5, later in that drive. And then he obviously hits Troy Franklin. Will Lutz does the rest. But yeah, the streak of winning the AFC West, 9 consecutive years, that's done. They are not running down Denver. Denver's got an easier schedule in Kansas City. Now, the good news is Chiefs got Indianapolis coming to Kansas City next week. So, that is an opportunity to say, hey, y'all are dancing our graves early. Just wait. We're not dead yet. You still got to play Houston, who currently they're tied with at 5-5. They've already got the tiebreaker for Baltimore, but this is not a situation Kansas City is used to. And by the way, I think something else that matters as well is that, listen, when the Patriots had the greatest dynasty in NFL history, 20 years, A, they went a decade without winning a Super Bowl. B, they had some first-round playoff exits. They lost to Mark Sanchez and the Jets. They had some weird years where they lost to, I think they lost to Denver in 05 when they were trying to three-peat. I was like, Denver, they lost to the Broncos? They did. Broncos ended up losing to the Steelers in the AFC title game that year. Like, sometimes you have off years, be it with injuries, but injuries haven't really plagued the Chiefs. They've gotten worked up front on both sides of the ball, and Denver's the exact team to be able to expose that. So they're not a great matchup for Kansas City, and Mahomes talked about the Chiefs' path moving forward after the game.
I mean, obviously it's going to be tough to get back in the division race, but at the end of the day, all the goal is to get into the playoffs and try to make a run at it. And all you can focus on is next week. We got to learn from this one as much as possible, knowing that we're going to get a great opponent coming into Arrowhead this next week. We're kind of at that point where we got to find a way just to win football games, and got to keep moving forward. That's what this league's all about.
I mean, listen. There's certain athletes in sports you do not bet against. You don't bet against Tom Brady. You don't bet against LeBron James. You don't bet against Steph Curry or Kobe Bryant or John Elway or any of the greats. And you darn sure don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. To call the Chiefs dead would be an insult to history. By the way, we've seen two teams in the last 20 years start 5-5 or be 500 at this point or later on the season, go on to win the Super Bowl. Patriots in 2001, Giants in 2011. Again, the silver lining for the Chiefs is you could get Pittsburgh in round one. Yeah, as a Steelers fan, I'm praying to the good Lord above we don't get Kansas City in the first round if we win the North. Please give us Baltimore. Please give us Jacksonville. Heck, Buffalo scares me. The defense doesn't scare me, though. I'll take my chances with an Aaron Rodgers duel when Aaron Rodgers is playing a much worse defense than what Josh is playing. We'll talk about Josh later in the show. But that is a shot of reality for Kansas City. Like, those are the games that they win. That Jacksonville game, those are the games that they win. Chargers game, those are the games they at least give themselves a shot to win. 0-5 in one-score games. It's not going to cut it. That's not Kansas City Chiefs football. And as for Denver, let's not go this whole segment without giving the Broncos credit. And fair is fair, folks. I've been critical of Bo Nix. For the record, I still stand by a lot of that criticism. I don't think the kid's terribly accurate. Missed some throws yesterday. But there is something to be said in the fourth quarter when your quarterback make plays, he makes them. Again, the third down throw rolling to his right and hitting Cortland Sutton, folks, those are the kind of throws that get you in a second contract. Those are the throws that 100% symbolize that's our franchise guy. I have not said Bo Nix is not that guy. I've said this year he does not look like that guy. Sure, the fourth quarter plays, Houston, the Giants, Philadelphia, that was impressive. I gave him a lot of love for the fourth quarter he played against the Philadelphia Eagles. We seen time after time he was not good at all last week against the Vegas Raiders. But in this spot, chance to put let's just keep it a buck. Chance to wrap up the AFC West. Chargers are not running down Denver. Now with those all offensive line problems. Chargers are not running down the Broncos. It was a two-team division. Kansas City, Denver. And Bo Nix slammed the door. Bo Nix's defense got the stops they needed to. Bo Nix's pass rush is the best in the NFL. One of the best in NFL history by the numbers. But he had to go out there and make the plays. And he did. Not just the two throws, I should say, to Cortland Sutton, but the downfield ball to Troy Franklin, which put him to field goal range, and Will Lutz did the rest. That was big time on the part of Bo Nix. Really, really impressive. So, listen, I had the Broncos winning 12 games coming into the season. I had them finishing second to Kansas City because I thought the Chiefs offense and the Chiefs in general would win close games. They're not doing that this year. Denver is. Roster's excellent. It's going to come down to number 10. It's going to come to another quarterback. Can he make the throws, not just late in the game, but to where they're not having to play the comeback kids, the cardiac Broncos, each and every week? If he's able to improve, to get better, last year he did, we'll see what happens. Broncos going into a bye. They played a lot of games in kind of a compressed schedule. We'll see what it does. And Bo Nix, after the game, talked about the win for the Denver Broncos. Pretty much, he wouldn't say it, wrap up the AFC West, but that's essentially what they did. Bo Nix.
This win over the Chiefs at home and knowing where you are in the AFC West, how important is it?
It was huge. I mean, this was a must-win going into the bye week. They have a really good team, hats off to them. They played us really well. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew we were going to have to play really well, especially down the stretch. And Lutz is just getting good at those game winners.
He really is. And like that's – I saw a stat. Doug Clawson, who is a great follow on social media. Let me pull up the stat because it was a good one. Doug Clawson. If you don't follow him on X, you should. So the Denver Broncos are 5-0 this season. This is a crazy stat. The Denver Broncos are 5-0 this season when down in the fourth quarter with time on the clock. It's the best start to a season since the 2009 Colts, who reached the Super Bowl. Now, Bo Nix isn't exactly Peyton Manning. Few are. But that was, it speaks the character of the football team. To close late, do I still trust Bo Nix over the course of the end of the season, into the playoffs? I don't know. The fact that Denver will have almost all their home playoff games, in the building, that you'll take that. And the fact that it's cold and the altitude plays a factor, like Denver's going to have a real legit home field advantage that a lot of teams will not. So kudos to the Broncos. Got some comments up in here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. Glad to be live. Ty Reddington, my guy, here at the Grid Network, big Mavs fan, Cowboys fan. He said, I ain't spit on nobody. Oh, trust me, we're getting that. We're going to play that soundbite, and we're going to be talking about that in just a second. Mike Guido. See, Mike's just trolling now. Bo Nix is absolutely Peyton Manning. Hater. And Barry says, I must have missed the Chiefs segment, but you do not get to walk this back. Listen, fair is fair. Fair is fair. I can walk back them saying that they're going to win the division, because they're literally not. They're not going to win the division. Now, ruling them out to make the playoffs, I don't know. Are people calling Houston dead today? And Houston's quarterbacked by Davis Mills as we sit here. So I think I'm going to roll with Mahomes over Davis Mills. I'm definitely going to roll with the Chiefs over the Ravens at this particular point in time. So yeah, that was, again, show the stat again. Since Barry's in here, and since people are wanting me to eat crow on the Chiefs, gladly. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a Steelers fan. But let's go and put this up here. Again, that's the difference. They're the same team. Matter of fact, the numbers, people said they wanted the numbers to be better. Well, here you go. But they can't close. 7-0 one-score games last year. 0-5 in one-score games this year, despite way better point differential, better points per game, giving up less points per game in 2025. It's the margins that are that thin in today's NFL. Or not today's NFL, the NFL in general. Mike Guido. I'm just getting assaulted in the comments. I love it. Hates Bo as much as he hates Josh. Okay, Mike views Josh higher than I view Josh, but that's because Mike views Josh. I think is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Maybe, is he already passed Brady? I'm not sure. We will talk about Josh Allen in about 10 minutes or so. But not before we talk about Spitgate 2.0. I didn't think those words would be coming out of my mouth. Forget Spitgate 1.0. We got a second incident. So yesterday, and we'll talk about the game afterwards. We'll talk about the fact that, is there that much of a dip-off between Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph? Didn't see it yesterday. We'll get to that. But late in the game, early in the fourth quarter, late in the game, second half, obviously, the Bengals are down 11. They're driving down the field, trying to make it a one-score game. Jalen Ramsey, corner for the Steelers. Jamar Chase, receiver for the Bengals, been yapping all day. From the first snap, first quarter, Chase took a really hard hit from Jalen Ramsey, and they were kind of jawing like, okay, it's going to be that kind of game. They're going to be going back and forth. No problem with that. It's football. It's competitive. That's how it goes. But then late, they get to jawing, and Jamar Chase spits in the face of Jalen Ramsey. Now, we'll play Jalen Ramsey's soundbite and then play Jamar Chase's when he just bold-faced lied about the whole situation. Take it.
He's spilling me, so it's up. I don't give a about football after that, respectfully. I'm always going to be all for trash talking, stuff like that. I actually enjoy that part of the game. I think people know that. We was talking for real, which I'm cool with. And then, yeah, as soon as he spit, it was that.
You were saying that you spit on him? Did you spit on him?
I ain't never opened my mouth to that guy.
What do you think prompted the reaction from him?
Well, he don't like some of the words I told him. We've been going back and forth the whole time, so I'm sure some got under his skin.
Just to be clear, you did not spit on him at all, Blaze. That's what he's saying.
I ain't spit on nobody.
Okay, except you literally did. Yeah, except you literally did. And, going back to the first Spitgate incident, and we'll show the footage where he literally did spit on Jalen Ramsey. I mean, you kind of saw in the freeze frame. You saw the big old loogie in the air there. But Jalen Carter, when he spit on Dak Prescott back in week 1. And again, I'm trying to assume the best of people's intentions. I'm trying to be a nice guy here. Although I do know Jalen Carter's off-field history may not warrant such, but let's be forgiving on this show. Because Jalen Carter, if you remember, apologized after the game. Now, maybe he was because he was caught on camera right there in the moment, was ejected on the spot. Maybe that's what it is. He apologized to Dak, Philly fans, his teammates for a selfish move. Jamar Chase doesn't only not apologize, He denies it. Well, unfortunately, Jamar Chase, these things called cameras exist, and CBS has a million of them, and they got this shot of you literally spitting on. There you go. But back and to the left. We are Zapruder filming this entire thing right there. That's clear as day. Spitting right on Jalen Ramsey's chest. And it is, I'll just repeat some of the things that I said 2 months ago when the Jalen Carter thing happened. Punch me in the face, cuss me out, do whatever. If you spit on me, you are saying that I am less than human. Because when we go outside and you kind of, again, I do this. Like if I'm outside running, getting some cardio in, I spit off on the grass. Like that's what most of us do. But it's the dirt. It's the grass. You're saying that I'm the equivalent of that. And from oh man, we're getting deep here, but from a historical context, that's what they did in the civil rights movement to black people. They spit on them. Protesting racial justice, protesting for their equal rights as citizens of the United States of America. They were spit on. In a larger sense, for me personally, the largest sense, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, marching up to that cross, spit on him. Or carrying his own cross, walking up, spit on him. In other words, what is the number one thing we can do to most denigrate you? That's it. That's it. Fortunately, about an hour ago, the NFL, Schefter reported, came down and said, yeah, we're going to suspend Jamar Chase for a game, and his game check, which, make sure I get this right, equals about, do we have the number here? Okay, equals a game day paycheck, weekly paycheck, $448,000, $448,000 that he's going to lose as a result of this. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what got into Carter, what got into Jamar Chase. I remember even a Florida Gator did this way back at the beginning of the college football season, which helped, UCF get a win in Gainesville earlier this year. I don't know what's going around, but this issue's got to stop. This got to stop. Spitting on people. You can go back and forth. You can get each other's face. Jalen Ramsey, you punch Jamar Chase. If you punch somebody, it's an automatic ejection in the NFL. And initially watching it live, I'm like, oh, what are you doing, bro? It was just John. Then you go back, you're like, oh, you had to punch him too. Of course, 100%. It's always the second guy that gets caught, right? Like that's how it always works. Like second guy always gets caught. And I don't know if it was because the fact that Jamar Chase, after going off against the Steelers in their first meeting a month ago on Thursday night, breaking the Bengals single game record for catches. And in this game he's held to, let me check my notes here, 3 for 30 yards. Was a no-show. Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter, whoever they threw on him, the Steelers threw on him, shut him down. And you respond like that. That's a punk move right there. That is I'm getting my ass kicked. Let's keep it a buck. Getting my ass kicked over the course of 60 minutes. And so that's how I'm going to respond. That's clown behavior by Jamar Chase. And glad he was suspended. Would not have batted an eye if they gave him 2. Like, I'm dead serious. We've seen people get suspensions or equivalent suspensions, 1 game for physical altercations. Not to excuse those, they don't rise to the level of that. The historical context of it, the person, again, maybe folks, it's as simple as the fact that I was raised in the South and there's certain things, man, you do not even think about doing. That's one of them, if not the top of the list. Utterly disgusting by Jamar Chase. And Jalen Ramsey, you heard him after the game. He was well within his right to respond the way that he did. You're lucky that Cam Hayward and some of those Steelers defensive linemen were in there to hold him back. Because if I'm Jalen Ramsey, you're going to have to drag me off of that field. I'm getting ejected for responding to the most disrespectful act of human behavior that a guy can do without physical violence. In some cases, probably worse than physical violence to a certain degree. So get him out of here. And great to see that the Bengals season is pretty much dead. 3-7. Joe Burrow's not going to come back. There's no point in him coming back. They're not running down Pittsburgh or Baltimore for the AFC North. As usual, it's 2-team race. It's Pittsburgh, it's Baltimore for the AFC North. May the best team win. Talk about the Steelers offense in just a second. But it is, I don't know what's going around. Honest to God. Now we're just spitting on people. Because you were going at it back and forth. And then the ultimate coward move You go out there and lie. You can't stand up there, be a man, and say, yeah, gosh darn right I spit at him. Stand on it. Either stand on it, apologize, one of those two. Don't play us for fools, Jamar Chase. There's this thing called social media, CBS, kind of a big network. You were, outside of Aaron Rodgers, the most famous player on that football field yesterday. Cameras are on you at all times. And if the hundreds of CBS cameras didn't catch you, guess what? Every single human being in that stadium has a camera in their phone, has one of these. You are going to get caught. And you had the gall, the audacity to go to the media. Say, man, I didn't say a word. You literally just said you were talking to him. We saw you talking to him. I didn't spit on nobody. BS. Wouldn't mind if the NFL gave him a 2-game suspension. Disgusting. I'm telling you, man, when it comes to spitting, man, that gets me to a different level of heated. I would have rather him punched Jalen Ramsey and kicked him in the head. I would have rather him done that. Unbelievable. Guido's trolling the comments. Oh, come on. He was spitting out his Zen and Jalen got in the way. I mean, it's just, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Clown behavior. And by the way, the Bengals should fine him as well. Just absolutely disgusting what happened yesterday. People may think I'm overreacting, but man, that is, again, folks, it might just be as simple as how I was raised. Maybe that's what it comes down to. I don't know. You don't do that. You want to fight with somebody, that's the number one thing you do right there. You want to disrespect and denigrate and dehumanize another human being, that's what you do. Just sick. Get him out of here. I wish he'd gotten a 2-game suspension. Just absolutely disgusting. As far as the game itself, though, let's talk about the actual game before we go to break. So again, Steelers won yesterday. So with all that, it is a Victory Monday, a Black and Yellow Monday. Black and yellow. Indeed, Steelers win yesterday over the Cincinnati Bengals 34-12 in a game that, is weird. Early on, it's like Unk Bowl 2.0. Aaron Rodgers goes down the field, boom, 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 touchdown. Joe Flacco goes down the field, boom, 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 touchdown. It's like, oh boy, we're in for another shootout, just like the Thursday night affair. Then both offenses go stagnant. Penalties kill drives. There was a terrible 4th down call against Connor Hayward. They're not going to push Aaron Rodgers because he's 41. You're not going to do that. They put Connor Hayward, one of the backup tight ends, Cam Hayward's little brother, under center a lot of times. The Steelers do for their tush push, and he ends up getting stopped to be clearly short. They ruled that he got it. It was a bad call. It was an ugly first half. Aaron Rodgers then, last drive up for the Steelers first half, they get a field goal, but Aaron Rodgers hurts his wrist. Right? He injures his wrist, and the Steelers go in and come out of the locker room. Mason Rudolph sends. Like, boy, I guess Aaron isn't coming back, and he wasn't. The reports are that he's got a slight break in his wrist. That's what Ian Rappaport has said. That's what other folks in the NFL media have said. Apparently, he's also pushing to play this week, which part of me feels like is, and I don't blame Aaron for this. I actually kind of love it. That, it's the fact that the Steelers are going to Chicago, to Soldier Field to play the Bears. Bears are red hot. Aaron in his career, as he told us 4 years ago, his last MVP year, I'll still own you. That is his, you think he owns the Cowboys, Bears even more so. So I'm sure he wants to play that game. He even alluded to it in the offseason when he was talking about how he's probably going to sign with the Steelers because there's a team going to Chicago next year. I remember talking about it this past summer. But with that being said, Aaron Rodgers played the whole first half. Mason Rudolph played the whole second half. Do we have the side-by-side? Because, folks, didn't see a difference. The numbers and the eye test. The numbers almost identical. Both had 1 touchdown. Both had no picks. Mason had only 11 more yards. Mason did complete 75% of his throws to Aaron's 60. Mason had a better pass rating, 118 to Rodgers' 106. And both QBRs were left some things to be desired. Aaron's was 37. Rudolph's was 24. Honest to God, because y'all know how high I've been at the Bears all season long, and so seeing them win yesterday, I'm like, love to see it. It's Monday. I genuinely don't know who I'm picking to win that game. Honest, I don't know who I'm picking because the Bears have been so great late in these games. Do I totally trust the Steelers' pass defense? Yeah, I need to see a little bit more. Although I did like the fact that we were able to feast off turnovers. Caleb Williams isn't going to turn the ball over like Flacco does. We know this, but I don't know who I'm picking for Sunday. What I can tell you, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph, literally will not affect my pick. They're kind of the same guy at this point. If they're playing a similar role in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, if the running game's working, I mean, you got my man Jalen Warren getting hurt earlier in the game. Kenneth Gainwell steps in, kind of like he did in that Vikings game in London a couple of months ago. Steps in, couple touchdowns, ran the football effectively. Next man up, and he stepped up in a big way. If the play action is working, I thought Mason had a good connection with DK Metcalf. Like, that's one thing. Aaron, even at this stage, is more mobile than Mason Rudolph. He's more of like a strictly pocket guy. Mason's better on the deep ball than Aaron is. Like, Aaron Rodgers, I've said this, even go back to his last year at Green Bay. The deep ball, he can still sling it, but it's not nearly as accurate and as on point as it used to be. DK's a deep ball guy, as we know, going back to Seattle, going back to Ole Miss. Mason's got a nice connection with him. He had a nice connection with George Pickens those last 3 games that he started at the end of 2023 and then that one playoff game. And this is Rudolph's first time in the Arthur Smith offense. See how it works. This, honestly, this is what I was suggesting before the season. It's okay, don't sign Aaron. There's drama. Now people expect you to win the Super. I mean, don't do this. Aaron's not a good leader. You saw that last week. Mason knows Pittsburgh. I'm sure he can, acquaint himself with the Arthur Smith offense just fine. Be able to report DK Metcalf. This is what I was wanting. Mason for the first half of the season. And then let's see what the kid Will Howard's got. Will Howard is on the active roster now. That's something. But great win for my Steelers. 34 points on the worst defense in the National Football League. So no surprise there. Ended up getting 2 defensive touchdowns to help the cause from Pierre and then from Kyle Duggar. Tweeted at my man Tim Barner. Shout out to Tim, Boston Sports Summit, my co-host on the Saturday morning tailgate. I'm like, thank you for Kyle Duggar. So good offensive performance by the Steelers. And by the way, the Steelers defense, for what it's worth, do we have this? That's the last 3 games. Let's show the first 7 games. I mean, giving up 25 points. You see the numbers. They're not good. Since then, numbers have gone down. The big one is 15 points per game given up on average in the second half. Now it's down to 10 in the last 3 games. Something. I've been hard on Mike Tomlin for a number of things, particularly the fact that highest paid defense of the league, and they've been one of the worst defenses of the league, and the numbers overall over the course of the season still aren't good, but there's been improvement. Only got 1 sack on Joe Flacco yesterday. I didn't love that, but the turnovers were great. I thought the tackling was really solid. Holding Jamar Chase as in check as he was before he acted like a clown in the fourth quarter was very impressive. So kudos to Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin. Credit where it's due. This is the credit where it is due show. Bo Nix and Mike Tomlin. It was good stuff. So very happy with my Steelers W. But when we come back, take a 1-minute break here on Carving Up Live. When we come back, Josh Bleepin Allen. Oh, I mean, yesterday, was that not the Josh Allen experience in every sense of the phrase? Talk about him, why he is, in my mind, one of the 5 greatest quarterback talents to ever play the game in 1 minute on Carving Up Live. Don't go anywhere. Got a ton of show left. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Appreciate everybody stopping by on a Monday. Looks like we got another comment here. Love the activity in the chat, guys. Keep it going. This is from LeBron Aim. Josh isn't top 10 yet, in my opinion, but he will be. I think he's talking about top 10 all time. No, he's definitely not top 10 all time, but he very much is. He can get there. The upside, we know that's there. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Because, boy, yesterday was just the Josh Allen experience from start to finish. I mean, like all of the unbelievable blow your mind stuff about Josh, and then there's the WTF we're even thinking, bro. So I took Tampa Bay. I took them to win this game. I certainly love them plus 5.5. I'm like, gosh, this offense against Buffalo's defense at Tampa Bay, Baker's talking about we need to get our killer instinct back. Still, Sean Tucker ran the football effectively for Tampa. Talk about a stat with the Buffalo Bills defense. Matter of fact, let's get right into the stat real quick before we get to Josh, because it's a damning one. This is also from Doug Clawson. Is that the Buffalo Bills defense has given up, do we have the stat here? Buffalo Bills defense have allowed 6 30-yard rushing touchdowns this season. That is tied for the most through 10 games by any team in history. The only other teams to do that, the 1953 Baltimore Colts, the 1952 Dallas Texans, the 1950 New York Yanks, I thought that was a baseball team, and the 1944 Card Pit. So, 2 of those teams, and he also added 2 of those teams were in their last year of existence. So, it's a historically bad rush defense for Buffalo. So I like Tampa Bay plus 5.5. Looks like it's going that direction. Baker throws that pick in the third quarter, and Buffalo kind of rode the momentum from there. But let's talk about Josh. Go ahead and put up Josh's stat line yesterday, because he was nothing short of sensational. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 total touchdowns against Tampa Bay. 3 through the air, 3 on the ground, 2 picks, 63% completion, 357 total yards, 104 rating, 70.9 QBR. He is the only player in NFL history with 2 games, with 3 pass touchdowns and 3 rush touchdowns in a single football contest. By the way, it's the second time he's done that in the last 2 seasons. The only guy to do that, Otto Graham, way back in 1954 against the Lions. So it's been a minute. Anytime you're doing something that hasn't been done since the pre-Super Bowl era, pre-merger era, you're probably doing something right or wrong, depending on that Bills defense stat I just gave you. But with Josh, it's funny. Early in the game, they're backed up on their own goal line. 0-0, no score. It's early on. Backed up on their own goal line. Josh Allen's going to get sacked for a safety if he doesn't get the ball out. And so he decides, you know what's a good idea? Let's go chest pass to a receiver to get out of the situation. Tampa Bay picks it off. Now, I'm by no means saying, hey, Josh got to take the sack. No, because it would have been a safety. Like, you don't just give up the 2 points there if you can avoid it. Bro, just throw it at a receiver's feet. Like, just throw it in the dirt at someone's cleat. Pump the ball away. But no, Josh says, good idea. Let's just go a basketball chest pass. Ends up being an interception. He ends up throwing a pick also on a 4th down in the first half. The one good thing the Buffalo Bills defense did is hold Tampa to a field goal on that short field. And then from there, it was magic. It was nothing short of magic. The deep throws down the field, intermediate stuff, using his leg, just annihilating Tampa Bay on the ground. In a game, by the way, where Tampa Bay held James Cook in check. Like, this was a game where Josh had to be Superman. Defense gets gashed by some kid named Sean. Who's Sean Tucker? Who is this? Yeah, he's going to gash you for 100 yards. Tampa Bay as a team. Baker's gashing the Bills on the ground. He had a rush touchdown. He was moving pretty well. Looked nice and spry. Tampa Bay had over 200 yards rushing. So the defense was awful for Buffalo. James Cook was held in check. By the way, it's also a game in which Keon Coleman was a healthy scratch. You know what that means? He was suspended. Like, straight up, he was suspended for this game because he apparently missed a meeting on Friday, which is the ultimate, like, bro, what are you doing? Missing any meetings bad on Friday? Like, that is where you finalize everything. Game plan set. Let's lock it in. We know who's playing, who's not. Let's go crush it on Sunday. And Deion Dawkins, the best, offensive lineman for the Bills, was talking after the game about, hey, like, we got to be better. I love the kid, but that can't happen. And Josh accounts for 6 touchdowns. And folks, they needed every single one. You look at the final score, they won by 12, but that last drive, they had a 5-point lead. Like, the game was not over. And Josh ran it in to seal the deal. And I think it is an absolutely fair conversation. I'm just going to bring it up right here on the spot in the show. I dare you to find 5 greater quarterback talents, not greatest quarterbacks, greatest quarterback talents, better than number 17 in Buffalo. Dare you. The only ones that I will say unequivocally, like, I would take over him, we're talking about in their primes, Rodgers, Mahomes, Elway. You can make a case for Dan Marino. I think Dan is in that top 5. Whether he's over Josh is the question. Dan cannot move like this. Heck, none of those guys I just mentioned. Mahomes, Rodgers, Elway could move. Not like this. A guy is not supposed to have Michael Vick's escapability with Tom Brady's size and then with Big Ben's size. We've never seen anything like this guy. And again, the bad turnovers, I've been knocking Josh for that for years. It's not that he turns the football over. Folks, I want you to take risks. Aaron's TD to INT ratio might be the greatest in NFL history. So that's because Aaron didn't take that many shots down the field because he was worried about hurting his passer rating. I mean, he was. He'd finished with 4 picks. It could have been 8 with a few more touchdowns. That's something I always kind of got on Aaron for, is you're trying to protect your numbers. Josh almost goes too far in the other direction. I prefer quarterbacks not care about the numbers. Get the W. That's the name of the game. It's the WTF. What did you see there you thought that was a good idea? It's not that Josh was trying to. I'm not getting on Josh for not trying to complete that pass. Duh. Bro, just throw it at Khalil Shakir's feet. Throw it at one of your receivers' feet. None of this chest pass basketball right into the arms of a waiting Buccaneer. But after that, the play, the throw downfield remained where he moved in the pocket. There were Buffalo's at midfield, moving to his left, moving to his right, back to his left. I mean, just throwing it on a dot. Effortlessly. It feels like Josh, if he wanted to, if they backed him up 30 yards, he could have made the same throw. It didn't even look hard for this guy. He's certainly in the MVP discussion. For the record, he was my preseason MVP pick. So for those out there, Mike Guido, love Mike, out there saying, you hate Josh. No, I just don't think he's as good as Mahomes, and the numbers and the playoff resume would show that, obviously, but he was going to have to carry a load for Buffalo. He's the type of player that is capable of carrying that type of load for Buffalo offensively. When they take away James Cook, when Keon Coleman, who hadn't been good this season in general, I've been really disappointed by Keon Coleman because I thought he'd step up this year for Buffalo. But when let's keep it a buck, he was benched. He was suspended for this game. Should have played Tomini on Friday. Sean McDermott's future, and I think this is still on the board, is kind of in question because he's a defensive coach and the Bills' defense is awful. They were awful yesterday, gave up 200 rushing yards to the Tampa Bay Bucs without Bucky Irving. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Tampa Bay does not have all their weapons. Not even close. And the Bucs kind of controlled that game through the first, at least offensively, through the first 2.5 quarters. Josh kept them in it. Josh kept making plays. Arm legs, in the end, kills them. Every single big play Buffalo needed, he made it. That's why, with respect to Lamar, to any of the guys, I think the top 3 is pretty cut and dry. It's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. I think it's in that order. Josh is no lower than 2. And I'll be honest. Let's say Kansas City does miss the playoffs. I mean, right now I think they're at 54% to make it. So people are the probability odds are let's not kill them just yet. They're not dead. We've seen 5-5 teams go on to win the Super Bowl. We saw a 7-7 Giants team go on to win the Super Bowl in 2011. Different divisional circumstances, but it can be done. If Kansas City ends up missing the postseason entirely, and the bracket's wide open for the Buffalo Bills or for anybody to win the AFC, which outside the Bengals, no one's done in the last 6 years outside of Kansas City. If Josh can go down, can go out, win a Super Bowl, and you're okay, last 2 years, Chiefs got housed by Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. Now Josh, who maybe is a back-to-back MVP potentially, or at bare minimum one-time MVP because what he did last year, if he goes out, wins the Super Bowl this year, ends the Buffalo Bills' years of heartbreak, it will be the first time that I will be open to the conversation about who the best is. Now, again, he'll still be 0-4 against Mahomes. I think that's... Josh needs to beat Patrick at some point in the postseason. I mean, we can show the numbers in the playoffs. It's not even that Josh has been bad in these games. It's just that overall, Mahomes has been the far better quarterback in these playoff games. More touchdowns, yards, Josh beats him, but complete percentage, Mahomes laps him. Passer rating, he laps him. QBR, he laps him, and he laps him in the record, 4-0. Only quarterback in NFL history to be 0-4 against another quarterback is Josh Allen against Mahomes. But yesterday he was sensational, and he talked after the game about the Buffalo Bills win.
I think so. We just got to do a good job of, again, not riding the wave. Trying to stay as level as possible, not getting too high, not getting too low, starting off 4-0 and we're the best team in the world. We lose 2 in a row when we're the worst team in the world, and it's we don't want to ride that. We just want to stay here, stay consistent, continue to work hard, put together game plans, and go out there and execute on game days.
Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Not a statement I thought I'd be saying in the first hour of my show, but here we are, because yesterday against the Baltimore Ravens, and boy, for a while there, man, I was pulling hard for Cleveland. And that y'all don't know what that, hit the mic there. Y'all don't know what that does to my soul. As a Steelers fan, as a Golden State Warriors fan, as a fan of a lot of teams who do not have a lot of love for Cleveland sports. Y'all don't know what it does to me on the rare occasions when I feel obligated to pull for Cleveland. It just does something to me. The fan base is like, oh, everybody feels sorry for us. We can't find a quarterback. Well, neither can the Jets. And no one pities Jets fans. No one pities Bills fans. The fact that they lost 4 straight Super Bowls, got trounced by Brady for 20 years. Then when they did get a quarterback, got trounced by the Chiefs. And now the Patriots are back. Like, it's Bills fans can't catch a break. I don't hear any pity towards Bills fans and Jets fans that we get towards Cleveland. Like, oh, okay, cool. You got a championship in 2016. Cute. That's, it's a normality for a lot of cities, but hey, feel sorry for yourself still after this. I don't do the victimhood of Browns fans. Drives me crazy. But I did find myself pulling for them yesterday. A, so that they could create some separation by beating the Ravens between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a 2-game lead. Okay, feeling good about ourselves. Got the Bears coming up. Okay. And also because Shedeur Sanders got his first opportunity for the Cleveland Browns. So it came by virtue of a Dylan Gabriel concussion. Shedeur comes in, and the numbers aren't going to blow you away. Do we have the Shedeur Sanders stat line? Here you go. Not great. No touchdowns. One pretty ugly pick to Nate Wiggins. The hit did affect the throw, but it was not still that thing had no chance. Only completed 25% of his throws, 47 pass yards. This is an 88 rating. That should say about a 47 rating, I believe, or somewhere in that ballpark, right? And then a QBR 0 to 100 of 11. So not great by Shedeur Sanders. He does get it. Let me say something to support Shedeur and then something to say this is an opportunity for him to support Shedeur. Came in cold off the bench, number one. Number two, you saw the Browns' offensive line yesterday, and Baltimore's pass rush has been decimated by injuries. And even if you watch all season long, the Browns might have the worst offensive line in football. I mean, it is the second Shedeur taking the snap. Bam, up the middle, around the edges, you name it. Anytime Baltimore brought the blitz, it was DOA. And Shedeur really struggled with that early. He was catching it, trying to move, make plays. Kind of the big knock on Shedeur out of Colorado, where he played with the bad O-line there, is kind of holding the ball too long. Like, we do excuse the fact that you do play with a terrible offensive line, that you don't have time to deliver the ball on time and on target, which he tended to do, 70+% completion at Colorado. Different situation in the NFL, of course. Guys aren't as open, but he's still holding the ball too long. That's what I think is what the real separating factor between Shedeur and between Dylan Gabriel in the Browns' last preseason game against Carolina. Like, Gabriel came in, played pretty. No, it wasn't against Carolina. It was against the Rams. Gabriel played pretty well. Shedeur came in, really struggled, held the ball too long the whole bit. The second thing I'll say, or third thing, I guess, didn't play with the first team starters. And we'll play a Shedeur bite, and he kind of alludes to that, and he did not make excuses. But, like, yeah, I want to get in practice. I want to work with some of the guys, the Cedric Tillmans of the world, right? Get comfortable enough with this offensive line, with this first team offensive line, so that I am ready. Because let's keep it a buck. He's going to start this week against the Raiders. Like, Dylan Gabriel, I would be really, really surprised. It is very rare for a guy to go into concussion protocol and then be back the very next week. If it was bad enough to keep him out in the second half of the game, he's not going to be back this week against the Raiders. So Shedeur Sanders, as I almost called it, I didn't think it'd necessarily be due to injury. I thought it'd be due to poor play. But I thought Shedeur would get his opportunity against Vegas. I literally said on Friday, I thought Gabriel played poor enough. Shedeur would maybe come in late fourth quarter. Fans are chanting, Shedeur. Then he starts against Vegas. It happened via injury, but he'll still get his first start in all likelihood against the Raiders next Sunday. Here's going to be the thing for him is, and we anybody who knows anything about football and knows anything about the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation knows he was going to get an opportunity eventually late in the season. It was going to be Flacco. They ended up trading Flacco. Dylan Gabriel, who they drafted ahead of him, and then Shedeur was going to get his opportunity. And the question for the Browns was, hey, you got 2 first-round picks next year in a quarterback draft that maybe won't be as good as we thought it was, still is going to be better than the quarterback draft from 2025. This year's quarterback draft was not good. If one of those 2 guys hits, if Gabriel balls out, Shedeur balls out, great. We got 2 first-round picks. We can build around him. If not, use one of those 2 or both of them to trade up to get the quarterback of your choosing, to get the guy that you want. Shedeur Sanders' dad, the great Deion Sanders. Shedeur's fans who say, he's a franchise quarterback, they're screwing him over. There's a conspiracy. Kevin Stefanski is trying to screw this kid over to make a point. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year and one of the smartest offensive coaches in the league. He's not doing that. Like that is not in a successful head coach DNA. The man has made the playoffs twice with the Browns, for crying out loud. I think he can coach. If it means it keeps his job, if it means he gets to stay employed in the NFL, trust me, he'd have played Shedeur. Struggled with the blitz early through the bad interception, but I thought did settle in overtime. Gave the Browns a chance to win the game. Ended up overshooting a man, down the field on, I think it was third down, with a chance to tie the game. So it's like, you had your opportunity to substantially tie the game and give Baltimore a shot to win it or go to OT. The question for Shedeur. This was Dillon Gabriel this season. Put up Dillon Gabriel's numbers. Can you exceed that? The 7 touchdowns, 2 INTs are pretty misleading because of the following stats. 59% completion, only 117 pass yards per game. The Browns did not let Dillon Gabriel throw it that much, and when they did, he was literally overthrowing people on screen passes, and a QBR 0 to 100 of 31. Can you be better than that? If you are, you sure do shut up a lot of the haters, at least who said, he deserved, he was clearly the third best quarterback in the Browns behind Flacco and behind Dillon Gabriel. And even when they traded Flacco, he's not as good as Gabriel. Gabriel, for all his physical limitations, and he wasn't bad in the first half yesterday. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. For all his physical limitations, the offense at times at least looked functional with him. They had moments against Minnesota, right? Like they had moments where they would move the football against Miami. Like, okay, maybe there's something here. I know Shedeur's more mobile than Dillon Gabriel. He brings a level of size to the table that Dillon Gabriel's not bring to the table. Better arm strength, not great, but better than Gabriel does. So the tangibles, and I think even to a degree, the leadership, what he showed at Colorado, those are there. But with the circus that surrounds this, with the it's almost like politics to agree. It's like you got people on the far side of this issue, far side on this issue, button heads. When the reality is, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Shedeur Sanders, you cannot make the case that he's a franchise quarterback today. Not today. But you also can't make the case like he's more gifted than Dillon Gabriel. He's got more upside than Dillon Gabriel has. It was a travesty. It's one thing for Cam Moore to go ahead of him. Cam Moore was better than him. Jackson Dart, one thing, but Jackson Dart's played well. Everybody else, Shucks played well, but Shucks does not have the upside of Shedeur Sanders. Jalen Milroe does, but Jalen Milroe's he's the ultimate project of a player. Dillon Gabriel, when Dillon Gabriel went, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, what are we doing here? I watched this kid at Oregon. I saw him at UCF and Oklahoma. Didn't see that. Didn't see drafted over Shedeur Sanders talented. You've got your opportunity now. Unless Dillon Gabriel has the quickest concussion recovery of all time, Shedeur's going to start on Sunday against the Vegas Raiders. He will get to this week, work with the first team, with the offensive line, with his weapons. The game plan by Kevin Stefanski can be geared around him, geared around running the football. Raiders aren't a very good football team. What will you do? No one's asked you to go out there and throw for 400 yards. No one's asked you to do what Bryce Young did yesterday against Atlanta. But can you be the things that made you great in college? Not mobile as far as like just scrambling, but can move, extend plays. You saw that to a degree at times yesterday. Can you be accurate, which he was not yesterday? Again, not on time with the guys he hasn't worked with. Okay, that's normal in the NFL. Usually the backup does not work with the first team. Well, this week, he probably will. Could shut up a lot of people. And there might be those who say, oh, it's the Raiders. Did you want him to perform or not? So I'm pulling for the kid. And he was talking to the media afterwards. Thought he had a great press conference. This was Shedeur Sanders, part of Shedeur Sanders' answer yesterday when talking about how he played against the Baltimore Ravens.
How do you think you played? I don't think I played good. I don't think I played good at all. I think it's a lot of things, we need to look at, during the week and go and just get comfortable even throwing routes, with Jerry and throwing routes with all those guys. So I think that was my first ball to him all year. But other than that, I just think overall we just got to go next week and understand so then we have a week to prepare stuff I like to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's difference between excuses and reasons. A guy coming in, fresh off the bench, didn't know he was going to play against the Baltimore Ravens, cold, hasn't played with the first team offense, which is the case with most backup quarterbacks. But for a rookie, that's a different type of adjustment against a Baltimore Ravens defense, divisional game, physical, tough, bad O-line. Like, it's not going to look pretty. It should have looked better than it did, but it was not going to look swimmingly. Next week, it should look a little bit better. Now, Max Crosby's a monster, but outside of that, the Raiders defense is not anything to write home about. Cedric Tillman can play. He's a good receiver. You've got a solid run game with Quinshon Judkins. Like, there are some pieces there to work with. By the way, you'll be indoors, Allegiant Stadium. Listen, I'm pulling for the kid. I thought it was ridiculous that he fell as low as he did. I didn't think he was as good as some folks were suggesting. I did not think he was the best quarterback in the draft. I thought that was clearly Cam Ward. Pulling for the kid. Browns don't get quarterback right. That will be a legitimate excuse because they can't get that position right to save their lives. I hope he crushes it. I really, really do. And he was great after the game too. Took accountability. You saw it. You heard it in that clip. You know, was talking about Dylan Gabriel. Like, I want him to get back, to be healthy, to be successful. Good teammate. Pulling for him. I know folks out there like Rex Ryan are going to try and poke holes in literally everything that he does. That's what the Shedeur haters are going to do. And the Shedeur fans are going to say, he should have been the weak one. Like, no, it's usually somewhere in the middle. But I'm pulling for the kid. From what I've seen, I think he's got a good heart. Like what I saw in college. I like what I saw in college more than any other quarterback in college football outside of Cam Ward. Jackson Dart's one. Jackson Dart, I was like, I don't know. Okay, I see what they're trying to do here. He's got talent, good arm strength moves. Everybody after that, Shug, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel. I didn't see it. So there you go. Before we go to break, I did briefly want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because I'll repeat exactly what I said yesterday or Wednesday on the show. They are the single weirdest great team I've ever seen in my life. Honest to God. They give you drama every single week. It is. So they win last night against the Lions 16-9. And they do so because obviously the score would indicate their defense was sensational. Detroit, we know Dan Campbell loves scoring on fourth down, 0-5. 0 for 5 on fourth down. When's the last time someone's been that bad on fourth down? The Detroit Lions back in 2022. They went 0 for 6 in one game on fourth down. 0 for 5 last night. So it's funny. To start the season, Philadelphia's offense is what's bailing them out. Whether it's Jalen Hurts making plays against Dallas with his legs, the one throw to Devontae Smith against the Chiefs, whether it's the crazy comeback to beat, and the special teams obviously helped as well, the blocked field goals, but to come back to beat the Los Angeles Rams, like the Philly offense was bailing this team out against Minnesota when Jalen has a perfect passer rating. And the last few weeks, Monday against Green Bay, yesterday I should say, against the Detroit Lions, it's all the defense. And I said this right after the deadline. Everyone's talking about Quinnen Williams. Everyone's talking about Sauce Gardner. And there was even a little bit of buzz on the Tryon Shoyinka trade to the Bears. The one trade that did not get nearly as much buzz as it should have. Jalen Phillips. And boy, you're seeing his impact in the field last week against the Packers. He is everywhere. Making Jared Goff's life a living hell out there. And we know the Lions' offensive line isn't quite as good as it once was a year ago with some of the retirements, injuries. Jalen Phillips was all over the field yesterday. And last week against the Packers. He came into the Philly franchise already, day one. That's their best pass rusher. And you combine that with Jalen Carter. You combine that with Nolan Smith and some of the talented players they have up front. And you combine that with a secondary that was great last night. And we know the book on Jared Goff. It's about as clear as day. Like, he is, if you give him time to throw, he is lethal. When he doesn't have time to throw, he is the last of a dying breed. He is strictly pocket guy. It is clean pocket, deadly accurate. If not, he cannot move. And the Eagles showed you that last night. And then offensively speaking, Saquon had a few nice bursts here or there, but now you got Lane Johnson, who's reportedly out 4 to 6 weeks with a Liz Frank injury. An Eagles offensive line that hasn't been as productive this year as it has been in years past, when it's kind of been the hallmark of their team. They targeted A.J. Brown. Some of those targets weren't necessarily on the money by Jalen Hurts, who I thought was off all night. Some credit goes to the Lions defense, but that was a defense that was missing, I think, 2 or 3 players in their secondary. Brian Branch was like the last man standing on the back end. Like, my gut tells me they're going to figure it out. Because they did last year. Offense didn't get off to that great of a start last year. We got off to a 2-0 start. Jalen was not putting up as good of numbers in 2024 as he is this year. And if there's one guy outside of Mahomes that I do trust the postseason to get it done, it's that guy. It's number one for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do trust that Saquon, again, you saw he had the big catch and run against Green Bay last week. You saw he had some creases, some holes to make it happen against Detroit. And it was windy. Like that did factor. That's probably why the deep ball wasn't working, because the winds were, 25, 30 miles an hour in Philadelphia and really in the entire Northeast all day yesterday. It's still a work in progress. I still think that they have a weak point in Kevin Patullo. I think he is the weak link of their football team. And another thing that I said last week, if you're an Eagles fan, what's the one thing that you think will get you beat in the playoffs? It was probably bad offensive play calling. Was the fact that coming into this week, the Eagles led the NFL in 3-and-out percentage at 31%. The other thing that could get them beat against an NFC that is, we look at today, man, it's wide open and it's stacked, is boneheaded late game decisions by Nick Sirianni. And I've given Sirianni his love on the show. I used to not be a fan. I now give him the respect. I've said, it's funny, they were on the same field last night. You can't love Dan Campbell and hate Nick Sirianni. Campbell's more lovable than Sirianni. He's not as much of a jerk. Like, that's not, Dan Campbell's a lovable dude, but cut from the same cloth. Culture builders, hiring good staffs that get the total buy-in of the players play their butts off for them. But game management by Sirianni leaves a lot to up 10-7. Defensive battle in Green Bay. The Packers offense has done zilch against you guys. You can run the clock down to 30 seconds or 20. I think it was 20 seconds, 25 seconds. Punt the ball away. Kind of like have a similar punt maybe to what Seattle had yesterday, or what the Rams had yesterday against Seattle. Down it inside the 5-yard line, and Green Bay is dead. They are not getting into field goal range with that little time and no timeouts. Kicking the field goal would have been dumb, because if you make it, great, but if you miss it, now Green Bay's got a short field. You did the worst thing possible. You went for it. And Green Bay had a shot to tie the game late. Yesterday, I listen, I know the push is going to get banned after this year, thankfully, because it's an impossible play to officiate, although they did a better job last night, to be fair. They called penalties on the Eagles' offensive line, which they tend to not do in some of these spots. But Detroit, to their credit, had kind of stopped the tush push. They kind of brought a guy around the edge to stop Jalen Hurts on kind of that second effort, which is where Jalen has a lot of success. They brought a linebacker around the edge to kind of stop his forward progress, to stop his momentum going forward. The Lions did a pretty good job against the Philly tush push yesterday. And up 10, under 3 minutes to go, with your defense playing out of their freaking minds. Jared Goff is doing nothing. Well under a 50% completion. And you tush push on 4th down. Bruh, punt the ball away. Even if Detroit scores, a substantial amount of clock's going to come off. You get the ball back, bleed it out. And we saw the play late, what might be the worst call of the NFL season, the pass interference. Now, again, to be fair, and I said this on social media, like, the Eagles were clearly the better team yesterday. That still might have been the worst call of the season. Like, the Eagles deserved to win. They were the better team for 60 minutes. In no universe did Rock Ya-Sin commit pass interference against A.J. Brown. In no universe. If that doesn't get called, I don't think the Lions are going to go down and win the game. Because chances are Dan Campbell's going to go for 2 in that spot because he's Dan Campbell. But, bruh, you're up 10. Defense is playing out of their minds. They've given up one big play to Jamison Williams, and that's it. Punt the freaking ball away. Send Jalen Phillips and Jalen Carter and all these guys after Jared Goff like you have been doing all night. Don't give them a short field to get a short field goal. Now they got a shot. Now they've got a puncher's chance. When you've got an opportunity to stomp out the life of your opponent, take it. It's the NFL. The margins of victory, that thin. That's always got to been a knock on mine in Syria. Like, the game management, some of these 4th down calls, not been great. So that I don't necessarily trust the playoffs. It didn't really come back to bite the Eagles in the postseason because they were blowing out everybody except for the Rams. But they're finding ways to win. I defended the Chiefs last year, like, guys, winning is an art, and they're finding ways to do it. It's hard. Eagles are doing that this year. Defending champs. They've got a level of confidence. Their defense is all the way back. Vic Fangio's got that unit playing its best football. Secondary's been great. Pulling Detroit's offense to 9 points was impressive. It's just, God, it's a weird team. It's always something every week. It could be, the defense getting off to a rough start and giving up big plays down the field to the Rams and the Cowboys, and special teams is blocking field goals, and now they're losing 2 games in a row. And you got anonymous players saying, this reminds me of the 2023 collapse. And then you got Sirianni making bad late game decisions, and Jalen Hurts is going from perfect pass rating to struggling and all these things. And they're 8-2 in the top seed in the NFC. And if the road to Super Bowl 60 has to go through Philadelphia again, bodes well for the Eagles. All right, we're going to take a 1-minute break. When we come back, a recap of the rest of Week 11 action around the National Football League and a prediction for Cowboys-Raiders on Monday Night Football. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Just got some pretty crappy and unfortunate news that, according to Front Office Sports, Shedeur Sanders' home was broken into during his NFL debut. A team spokesperson told Front Office Sports, there are no news if anything was stolen and no suspects have been identified. Dang, man. I'd say these burglaries of these athletes have been off the chart. I remember last year, Luka's home was broken into. I think Joe Burrow's home was broken into. Really, really scary stuff. So glad Shedeur's okay. Glad family and loved ones are okay, and hope nothing was stolen, because that's a God, especially during your NFL debut. This is supposed to be one of the best moments of your life. That sucks. All right, recap of Week 11 around the National Football League. I'm gonna start with the morning game, in which it felt like both teams were trying their darndest to lose between the Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. Like that looks like a matchup between 2, 3, and 7 teams. Miami prevails. Mariota throws the pick late. Dolphins tried to drive the nail in the coffin by going for it on 4th down and short, and end up getting stopped. Mariota throws the pick. Dolphins win. I'd say that there are a few individuals that are better at staving off, losing their job potentially than Tua Tagovailoa. That might be Daniel. It's like, okay, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. Maybe the GM was the problem. Chris Greer was fired. But kudos to Miami. That's a win's a win. Never apologize for winning the National Football League. What do we have up next? Sorry, my phone's doing weird stuff. Find the other games around the National Football League. Giants and Packers. Oh man, upset of the week falls short again, folks. And once again, it looked like that those darn Giants were going to come through for me. The Jameis Winston, who's out here, quarterback sneaking for 10 yards, who's dancing, who's firing up the guys before the game. He's, he put the Bible verse on social media that he repeated last season with the Browns. The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. I'm like, oh, we're going to get a Jameis classic. Here we go. And he threw a pick to end the game. And a bad pick too. Like a Jameis Winston level, like, oh boy, what were you doing, bro? So I'll tell you something, though, on the Packers side of it. I was really, really impressed with Jordan Love, who has been kind of the model of inconsistency over the course of the season, and frankly, over the course of his career. But to come in yesterday, listen, say it over and over on the show, but against one of the best defensive lines in the National Football League. Abdul Carter was out for the first drive for disciplinary reasons, but you still got Burns, you still got the dogs up front that the Giants have. Hang on. We back? Look at my monitor right now. Hopefully we're back. Looks like we're dealing with some connection problems. Not back. That's not good. Hang on, folks. Okay, I'm looking at my monitor now. Looks like we're back. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry for the connection delay. Looks like we're ready to go. Looks like we're good. Okay, so anyways, back to what I was saying about Jordan Love. I thought the fact he's playing this Giants defensive line, Packers are decimated by injuries. Tucker Kraft's gone for the year. Josh Jacobs, thankfully, is not gone for the year. He suffered some structural damage, but I think reports are he's going to be fine. LaFleur said he's week to week. And Jordan Love gets hurt. First half, bangs his shoulder into a Giants defender. It's like, oh, Malik Willis comes in. Malik Willis, to his credit, coming in relief the way they did last year, leads a scoring drive. Jordan Love comes back in, makes all the big throws late, makes a big-time throw and a great catch by Christian Watson, just mossed multiple Giants defenders to make the play for a go-ahead and basically the game-winning touchdown. That's the kind of things that win. Those are the kind of plays, those are the kind of moments that win over a locker room. Not saying Jordan Love lost locker room, but we know he's kind of a to himself, very quiet. We don't know what he's like in the locker room behind closed doors. Maybe he's more vocal, but I don't necessarily get that vibe from him. So if you're not going to be that, you got to lead by example. And he did that yesterday. Gets hurt, takes a hit. He's kind of working on his shoulder like, it's kind of uncomfortable. Steps up, makes all the big throws he has to. It was on his non-throwing shoulder, but still, that's painful. How would you like to run into a 240, 250-pound defensive player full speed? That's going to jam up your shoulder pretty bad as well. So for him to come in and be as tough as he was in that spot, the Green Bay needed that win. They had to get that win. You can't lose 3 in a row. I say this all the time. You can't lose 3 in a row and me consider you a Super Bowl contender. You can't. Right? Because you lose one game, the NFL, you lose. No one's going to be the 72 Dolphins. Then you lose another game. Okay, we're in a little skid. We need to get this next one. And then you lose again. Then I can't take you seriously as a contender. By any means necessary, Christian Watson made plays. Micah Parsons, who, excuse me, I know last week people were like, is Micah really that good? Yeah, he was facing Andrew Thomas, who's one of the best left tackles in football, and this is according to Pro Football Focus. Micah Parsons, 90.6 pass rush grade. He had 1.5 sacks. He had the strip sack on Jameis Winston that ended the game, which was pretty impressive. He had 6 pressures, the forced fumble that I just mentioned, and 37.9% pass rush win rate. So I think that's pretty good. I know people were saying Micah's overrated. The Packers shouldn't have traded for him. Oh, okay. Dallas miss him. I think Dallas could use a guy like Micah Parsons in the roster. I think a lot of teams could use a pass rusher like that who's making quarterbacks' lives a living hell every week. It's something. I know pressures don't count as a stat for some people, but ask any quarterback, it matters. But a good win by the Packers. You take it where you can get it. Good win for Green Bay. What do we got next? Make sure I get all these games in. Oh, my gosh. Jaguars hammering the LA Chargers 35-6 yesterday in Jacksonville. Wasn't close from the jump. Jacksonville mostly did it on their running game with Tootin and with Etienne. Trevor made some throws, but it was mostly the run game. And then Jacksonville's defense. Jacksonville's got a really good, a front seven. Josh Hines-Allen in particular. I wrote the Chargers off for dead 2 weeks ago when it was announced that Joe Alt was out for the season. And then they came back, beat my Steelers. It was a huge win for them. And I thought Herbert played well in that game. This offense is J.J. Watt called Andy Dalton years ago the Red Ryder BB gun. This is like the Red Ryder BB gun junior. I mean, it is unwatchable. Herbert, the second he takes a snap, and he leads the NFL this year in a stat. You do not want to lead the league in as a quarterback in hits taken per game. I think it's somewhere like 9.5, 10 hits per game that Herbert takes. Rashawn Slater being gone for the year was going to be a problem. Now that Alt's gone for the year, and you saw, Alt starts the year, Herbert's having an MVP campaign. Gets hurt, O-line's awful, comes back, Chargers offense is back, hurt again. You score 6 points on the road against Jacksonville. So, if I had to guess, I think Kansas City runs down the Chargers for that second place spot, which likely means they're in the postseason as like the 6 or 7 seed. But that was, that was a bad performance by LA. And their front line just got worked. And it's in the games Joel has missed. That's been the story. Against the Giants, against Pittsburgh, the O-line got worked. Herbert was able to make some plays. Yesterday against Jacksonville, that was bad. What a Bears-Vikings. Almost forgot about this one. Bears versus Vikings. Caleb Williams and Chicago, winners of 7 of their last 8 after an 0-2 start. Now, Caleb in his own right wasn't great. 50% completion, under 200 passing yards. The thing about Caleb, and then we'll get to Ben Johnson, then we'll get to J.J. McCarthy. I've never seen Caleb. I thought he was 6'2". I looked today, he's 6'1". I've never seen a quarterback that size outside of maybe Tony Romo, I guess. Romo was about 6'2"-ish. Every time it looks like Caleb's going to go down, I swear 80% of the time he gets out of it. Whether it's blindside, whether this guy coming right at him, Caleb's in the guy's grasp and he somehow gets out of it. I don't know if the kid's much stronger than we gave him credit for. Something. I mean, he is I would say outside of Josh Allen and then the last 15 years, Ben Roethlisberger probably, the hardest quarterback to sack that I've ever seen. You need two guys to sandwich him in to bring him to the ground. One guy gets out of it, spins out of it, whether he throws it away, whether he finds DJ Moore or Dunze or one of these guys. Caleb is a master at that. We know he's great with his legs. He's shown that all year. He showed that at college at USC. Again, the intermediate stuff, pretty good. Needs work, but pretty good. The arm strength, I've said it all year, off the charts. Arguably the best in the NFL. Seriously, watch Caleb Williams. Some of these over-the-middle throws to Colston Loveland, to a DJ Moore, to Rome Odunze. That's the kind of stuff that makes Josh Allen blush. It's amazing. The deep ball stuff needs some work, needs some tightening up. However, I said a few weeks ago, I think this is after they beat the Commanders, or so I guess it was about a month ago. Remember they forced, Jaden Daniels fumbles the ball. Jake Moody comes in and wins it to get revenge on the Hail Mary game from last year. I said that if you're a Bears fan, you have to be just like, the LeBron James meme, he's at the pool, can't believe this is my life right now. That's how you got to feel if you're a Bears fan. The reason I said that is this. You just didn't win close games. You didn't. You certainly didn't win close games in which you trailed late. There's a stat, again, quote Doug Kloss, if you don't follow him on X, highly recommend him. This is a wild stat. This season, the Chicago Bears are 5-3 when trailing in the final 2 minutes. In the last 4 seasons, 4-47. They just didn't win close games. They did not win games in which they trailed late. Some of that's because they had bad coaches, bad quarterbacks, weren't particularly talented on the offensive side of the ball. Now they do have a gifted quarterback. Now they have a brilliant coach who, after, Duvernay makes the play late on the kick return, takes it all the way into Minnesota territory. What does Ben Johnson do? Run the football, run the football, run the football. Cairo Santos, we trust him. He'll walk it off, and that's exactly what he did. Games like against the Raiders, when he got to convert a 4th and goal and then block a field goal. Against the Commanders, when Jaden Daniels has to fumble the ball for you to have a chance. Against the Giants, when you're down 10 in the 4th quarter. Against the Bengals, when you're about to pull the choke of the season. Yesterday, those are the games the Chicago Bears, my whole life, have lost. Like they find a way and they just can't pick themselves off the map. But the mental toughness that this coach has instilled in this team has changed everything. And there's a lot of Coach of the Year candidates. I maintain that Shanahan is my front runner based on what he's done. Mike Vrabel's got a case. Shane Steichen's got a case. And Ben Johnson absolutely has a case. The culture he's built in Chicago. The clutch plays by his quarterback over the course of the season in Caleb Williams. I know I sound like a broken record, but I said in August. By late October, now we're in mid-November, but early November, they would start to figure it out. And look at the Chicago Bears today. In this second toughest division of football, the NFC North. It ain't the Vikings. It ain't the Packers. It ain't even the Lions. The Chicago Bears. The Bears, number 1 in the NFC North. Do I think that'll hold? The schedule's tough the rest of the way, so who knows? But I feel very confident in saying now what I said before the season. They're going to be a playoff team. And Dennis Allen's done a solid job with the defense. Caleb, the deep ball stuff still needs some work. The accuracy needs some work. The other stuff, A+. Mobility, can break out of sacks, is much better at the line of scrimmage than he was at the start of the season. I mean, if you compare the first Viking game, that Monday night game, to now, night and day, different story. You're seeing the growth. You're seeing the progression. I'm not going to call Chicago a Super Bowl contender. I don't think they're that ready yet. Certainly not to the level of Philadelphia, a Rams, a Seattle. We'll get to the Rams-Seahawks game momentarily. But they're a playoff team. I really believe that. Even with a tough schedule. Big game next week for them against Pittsburgh. Go Steelers. Hopefully we can get that dub there in Chicago at Soldier Field. Rudolph or Rodgers, but big-time win by the Bears. Texans over the Titans, 16-13. Houston's back in the playoff mix, 5-5. Davis Mills came in last week, led that crazy comeback to beat Jacksonville. This week, led the game-winning drive. Walk-off field goal for Houston to win. Their defense is off the charts. That game on Thursday night is going to be really, really fascinating. Like, I shouldn't say Buffalo's offense. Josh Allen against Houston's defense. And then whether it's Stroud, who, as far as I know, is still in concussion protocol, or it's Davis Mills against that god-awful Buffalo Bills defense. That'll be the great versus great and the bad versus bad. Strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness. It's going to be fun to watch on Thursday Night Football. Panthers, my bad. Panthers over the Atlanta Falcons. How about my guy? I was just ripped to shreds and lambasted and like, get rid of him. He's too small, too skinny, too this, too that. Bryce freaking Young put up his numbers against Atlanta yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. 3 touchdowns, no picks, 68% completion, 448 passing yards, which passes Cam Newton to be a Panthers single-game record for passing yards in a game. 123 rating, 74 QBR. All of the mobility that we saw from Bryce Young in college at Alabama. Not a crazy great deep ball thrower, but it's deadly accurate when he has time to throw the football, and Carolina's offensive line is showing the same growth and progression that I saw from them at the end of last year. Canales is one of the more underrated coaches. That's one of them. Bryce, between now and the end of his rookie season, night and day quarterback. Gutsy win by Carolina yesterday. And the unfortunate news for Atlanta is that Michael Penix Jr. is out for the season. I think it's an ACL. It's a season-ending knee injury, which is the third that he's had in the last 8 years. He had 2 in college, 2018, 2020 at Indiana. Now he's got it with the Atlanta Falcons. So really, really disappointing. Y'all know I really believed in the kid coming out of Washington, but I just hope the injuries aren't what dooms him, because I think he's a good kid. I think he's smart. I think he is deadly accurate, at least in college. Hasn't quite shown that in the NFL. Still needs some development, but it's going to be Kirk Cousins in all likelihood the rest of the year for Atlanta. But Bryce freaking Young. I told y'all the kid was going to show up. And quickly, too, almost forgot. Real quick, back to the Bears and Vikings game. Almost forgot this. I know Sam Darnold was bad yesterday, and we'll talk about him in just a second. Minnesota's just got to be just like, what were we thinking? How did we let this guy out? Can we show JJ McCarthy's stat line yesterday against the Bears? I mean, this is with 2 fourth quarter drives. 1 touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown with a minute left. 2 picks, both ugly. 50% completion, 150 pass yards, a 47 rating, and a 22 QBR. The kid has more picks than touchdowns. And it's like, well, he's not a rookie. He's made his first year starting. Man, Kevin O'Connell fixed Sam Darnold. Maybe Kyle Shanahan did, but O'Connell kind of completed the surgical process of getting Sam Darnold into being the player that the Jets hoped he would be in 2018. You got the best receiver in the game, one of the best number 2 receivers in the game, good tight end, good running game, brilliant offensive play caller. I mean, it was going to be a miracle if Minnesota pulled that game off last night, but this all season long, it's been dreadful. Patrick Brown in the comments. Carolina is 3-0 against Atlanta, only a half game back. Yes, they are. A half game back in the NFC South. Let's not assume Tampa's going to win the division. Although the only downside is that Carolina does have a Monday night game, so national TV audience on the road against the San Francisco 49ers, who are red hot. And let's quickly talk about San Francisco. Credit where it's due. I got to be fair on this show. Said on Friday, there was no player in the NFL under more pressure than Brock Purdy was on Sunday. The way that Mac Jones of all people, Mac Jones, dirtiest quarterback in NFL history, can't move, noodle arm, not the greatest decision maker. They're 6-4 at this point in the season with Mac Jones starting all but 2 games. How does that happen with all the injuries that the Niners have had? Well, now Kittle's back. McCaffrey's been unreal this season. Pearsall's back. Still needs to, kind of like Kittle a few weeks ago, needs to work his way back into the lineup. Ayuk will be back soon. Like, the Niners offense is kind of coming back together. What are you going to do, Brock Purdy? Well, he says, okay, Bryson, take you up on that challenge. I'm going to have 3 touchdown passes and a pass rating of 133. He was accurate. He moved well. That game was over before it started. 13-0 Niners. They got a big kick return to start. I don't know what to do with this team because I know the Rams are more talented. I truly, to my gut, believe Seattle's more talented. But with that coach, Kyle Shanahan, they've obviously been to multiple NFC title games in the last 6 years. Purdy is obviously better than Mac Jones. My point is always, because people are like, oh, you hate Purdy. No. My point has been, bro, if Mac Jones can work on this offense, if Jimmy Garoppolo can get to an NFC title game, sue me. I think if you're going to get paid in excess of $50 million, you should be better than an 80-something passer rating when just 1 of the former Niners All-Stars, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, Debo. Debo's gone now, but any of those guys miss. I need to see a little bit more than that. And the ability to play from behind, in which Purdy has notoriously been awful in his career. Double the picks than the touchdowns in that spot. But yesterday, can't play from behind if you get on him early, and he did. So the Niners are playing excellent football right now, and the offense looks like it had the pop that it had 2 years ago. So that's scary. Christian McCaffrey's just unbelievable. I'm going to have Bryson's MVP ladder, which we do every other week on the show on Wednesday. McCaffrey's going to be high up in the list, which he has been all season long. Oh my gosh, he's been unbelievable. What other games we have? Oh, Rams Seahawks. Oh, what a game this was. This honestly, I also the Steelers because I always look forward to the Steelers games the most. This was the one I was looking forward to the most, only in the sense that, yeah, it's for first place in the NFC West. Yes, depending on what happened with the Philly game, had the Eagles lost, the winner of this game would have been the number one seed in the NFC. Excuse me. If the Rams had somehow lost this game, I don't know if they could have recovered from it. Because the thing is, the Rams should be 10-0. The 2 games they lost, they had a 19-point lead in Philadelphia, which they're really kicking themselves over that because, like, gosh, that tiebreaker could really be huge late in the season. We'd much rather have to play at SoFi than have to go to Lincoln Financial Field, where we almost beat Philly last year, but at LA, not have to worry about snow and wind and all of that. And the second thing they lost, I remember talking to Pierce DeLuna. Shout out to Pierce DeLuna, the host of the First and Tuna podcast. Go check his stuff out. Really good guy, really good at what he does. Had him on the show the day after the Rams lost to the 49ers with Mac Jones, with Kendrick Bourne out here crushing the Rams secondary. So if they had lost this game, in which Sam Darnold throws not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interceptions, that was going to be devastating. And they almost did, by the way. If LA's punter doesn't pull off maybe the punt of the year with the ball bouncing, inches away from the pylon and then just popping out inside the 1, that could have been a loss for their Rams. Sam Darnold got Seattle into field goal range, long field goal range. It was a 61-yard attempt. If that had been a touchback, Seattle probably gets closer and they probably win the game. And something else, too, for LA. By the way, Stafford, something else. Matthew Stafford, first time in his career. This is an amazing stat. Shows you how dysfunctional Detroit was when he was there. Matt Stafford, for the first time in his NFL career, we're 17 years in. First time, Matt Stafford's got a winning record. 117 wins, 116 losses. Got a tie mixed in there as well. So congrats to Matthew Stafford. The other thing with the LA Rams as well, for one reason or another, and shout out to Chris Shula, I believe it is, defensive coordinator of this team. This guy's got Sam Darnold's number. Let's show, since 2024, when Sam Darnold became the starter of the Vikings, which from that point to now, he's been considered one of the upper echelon level of quarterbacks. Sam Darnold against everybody not named the Rams since the start of last season. Show his numbers. It's off the charts. 50 TDs, 18 INTs, 67% completion, 104 rating, 21-4 record, 21-4. 5 times as many wins as losses. Against the Rams since the start of last season, he's a bad quarterback. 3 touchdowns, 5 picks, 76 rating. He's 0-3. So I don't know what it is, but shout out to the grandson of Don Shula stepping up. And we know how great this Rams pass rush is. Jared Verse draws so much attention, but Byron Young was causing problems in the backfield. I thought the kid Emmanuel Forbes, who's kind of cast off from Washington, was solid for the LA Rams defense yesterday. Smith and Jigba had the one-handed catch early. Made some catches to get Seattle into the brink of field goal range. I look at Bryson's best 10s on Wednesday. The Rams will be high up in the list, obviously. I can't drop Seattle that low. You mean to tell me you went on the road to Los Angeles, Sam Darnold threw 4 picks, and if not for the punt of the season, you probably could have won the game. You're down 2 scores with 3 minutes to go. So that was as impressed I've been in a team in a loss this season with what I saw from the Seattle Seahawks. And for the Rams, I still think Stafford's the front runner for MVP. Spoiler alert for Bryson's MVP ladder. Stafford wasn't even that great. You hit Devontae for a touchdown. After that, wasn't terribly accurate. I thought McVay's play calling late was a little conservative. Maybe he just trusted his defense. But honestly, when a defense, it's one thing for them to get to the quarterback consistently and sacks and stopping the run. When they're feeding off of turnovers, at some point that turnover pixie dust is going to fade into oblivion, and you have to actually get stops. So, and I'm not saying the Rams can't do that. They've got the personnel to do that. They've got the coaching to do it, and they ended up doing just enough to get the game to get the game in their favor at the end. I didn't love McVay being as safe as he was late. That was my only kind of knock on the Rams for this game. But a big time win for them. Is that all the games we got? Also quickly too with the Ravens and Browns. I would be a bad podcast host if I didn't mention this. Myles Garrett is I know this is not breaking news, but he's unblockable. He is. You can't stop this guy. Put up his numbers yesterday against the Ravens. He was literally unblockable. 4 sacks, 5 QB hits, 5 tackles, 7 pressures. Myles Garrett has 10 sacks in his last 3 games. So Defensive Player of the Year. The question, honestly, is just, is it going to be unanimous? Is somebody going to step up and make this kind of interesting where a couple of voters go in the other direction? Because this guy, he's on pace, I think, for like 24 or 25 sacks, which is crazy, especially when you consider how often Cleveland is playing from behind. Oh my God. If you put Myles Garrett, this is going to an extreme maybe, but if you put him on Philadelphia, who leads a lot of their games, who's got, other teams got Jalen Carter to worry about. Oh, good Lord. He might have 30 sacks. I mean, and he also, in the last 3 games, I think CBS Sports may have, or no, it was also Doug Clawson. Shout out to Doug Clawson. Myles Garrett in the last 3 games has moved up from 33rd to 24th in all-time sacks. He has passed Pat Swilling, Greg Townsend, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, Chandler Jones, Justin Houston, Sean Jones, Calais Campbell, JJ Watt. Passed all of those guys in 3 games. 10 sacks in that span. I mean, it is, honestly, it is a shame that this man is, he is, I said earlier today on the Bryson Carver Show, for those who don't know, we're coming to an end for this semester, but do we have the graphic? Yeah, the Bryson Carver Show every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern and every Friday from noon to 2 Eastern Standard Time on the TuneIn app, 89.5 The Edge. I said on my radio show today, I think Myles Garrett is going to be viewed as the defensive version of Barry Sanders, where Barry Sanders is far and away the best offensive player in the league, best running back of his generation. It's the one guy that every defense knows, if we stop 20, if we limit 20, we're going to win this game over the Detroit Lions, and Barry Sanders is still going off. I personally think he's the greatest running back ever. Myles Garrett's a similar discussion. I mean, it is, 95 is coming at you 100 miles an hour. They can't stop him. 5 sacks. This is unbelievable. 5 sacks against New England 2 weeks ago. 4 sacks against Lamar Jackson, by the way. The guy's, he's literally a freak. He's going to Canton. Retired tomorrow. He's going to Canton on the first ballot, as far as I'm concerned. Unbelievable talent. He's going to be the runaway defensive player of the year in 2025. All right, before we get out of here, got a game tonight featuring the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders from Allegiant Stadium. So Dallas, coming off a bye, is a 3.5-point favorite. So it's weird. So Dallas coming off a bye, well-coached teams, and I think Dallas is moderately coached. I think I'm seeing more good than bad from Brian Schottenheimer. Certainly in the offensive side of the ball, and that is his side of the ball. I tend to like teams like that coming off of a bye week. Now, of course, oh boy, Dallas is coming off of, to put it mildly, to put it conservatively, a pretty abnormal bye week because they lost their teammate. Marshawn Nealon, we know the story, talked about in the show a couple weeks back, passed away. And they're going to be honoring him during the game. I think they're going to have 94 stickers on the helmets the rest of the season. You know that pregame will be really, really emotional, paying tribute to their fallen teammate. And so I just think that, I'm not even going to get into the specifics and the minutia of the game plan. I do still have concerns about Dallas' defense and how well they can stop Vegas, how well they can stop Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. Geno Smith might have a good Geno Smith game. He might throw some picks, set Dallas up in a short field. I tend to think that's going to be what happens. But playing for their team, I saw a video right before I went on air of Dak Prescott in the stadium, praying beforehand, by himself. Like, it's going to be an emotional night. No way on earth Dallas is going to lose. You lose after the passing of Marshawn Nealon. So give me the Dallas Cowboys, 27-22. Take them, to cover the 3.5. Obviously, to have any prayer's chance of getting back in the playoff mix, they have to win this game, especially when they've got the last 2 Super Bowl teams coming to Jerry World in the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Dallas 27, Vegas 22. All right, that's all the time we have for today's show. Apologize for the technical difficulties early. Started 5 minutes late. Still had a great show. Appreciate everybody tuning in, as always, and being active in the chat, in the comment section. Be sure to catch Carving Up Live on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube, as well as on Twitch. I almost said Twitter. Twitch, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Appreciate everybody stopping by on this Monday. Be sure to go subscribe, as always, to the Grid Network. That is GRYD, the Grid Podcast Network, right here on YouTube, as well as any and everywhere that you get your favorite podcasts. You can find all the best content creators at the Grid. Also, follow me on all my social media platforms. Right down there, you see IG, you see X, TikTok, both YouTube channels that I'm on, Carving Up with Bryson Carver, the Grid Network. Please, I implore you to subscribe to both. Check out all the content on my channel, on the Grid's channel. You will not be disappointed. Have a great week. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Stay safe out there. God bless y'all. Peace out. I really don't think there's a drop between Mason and Aaron. I don't. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.